In this example, we have to find the limit as x approaches pi. So let's see what will be when we replace x's by pi. So let me put this in brackets. We will have e to power pi minus pi minus e to power sine of pi over pi minus sine of pi. This is equal e to power pi minus pi is 0, e to 0 is 1 minus sine of pi is 0, e to power 0 is 1, and denominator we have pi minus pi is 0 minus sine of pi is 0, so we have 0 in denominator. 1 minus 1 is 0 over 0 we got indeterminate form. It means we can use L'Hopital's rule. So we have to copy limit as x approaches pi, and now we have to find derivative of function which is in numerator and derivative of function which is in denominator. So we have e to power pi minus x. Derivative of d of e to power u with respect to x is equal e to power u times du to dx. So in first part we have u equal pi minus x. Next we have u equals sine of x. So first we have to copy e to power pi minus x times derivative of pi minus x. Derivative of pi is 0. Derivative of negative x is negative 1 minus, again we have e to power sine over x, so we have to copy e to power sine of x, and the derivative of sine is cosine of x over, we have here subtraction, so we have to find first derivative of pi is 0. Derivative of negative x is negative 1 minus derivative of sine is cosine of x. So this is equal, we have limit as x approaches pi of, let me copy numerator, we have positive times negative is negative e to power pi minus x minus e to power sine of x times cosine of x over negative 1 minus cosine of x. So this is equal, we can factorize negative 1 in numerator and negative 1 in denominator. So let me copy limit as x approaches pi. In numerator we will have negative 1, and in parentheses will be e to power pi minus x plus e to power sine of x times cosine of x over, and we will factorize negative 1, so we will have 1 plus cosine of x in parentheses. So negative and negative we can reduce, so we have to find the limit as x approaches pi of, and we have to just copy numerator, we have e to pi minus x plus e to power sine of x times cosine of x over 1 plus cosine of x. Let's see now what will be when we substitute x's by pi. So we will have e to power pi minus pi is 0, e to power 0 is 1, plus we have now e to power sine of pi is 0, e to power 0 is 1, and cosine of pi is equal negative 1. Over, we have 1 plus cosine of pi, again we have this is negative 1. So this is equal 1, and we have positive times negative is negative, so we have 1 minus 1 is 0, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So we have indeterminate form again. We can use L'Hopital's rule one more time. So this is equal, we have limit as x approaches pi of, and again we have to use this formula to find the derivative. So we will have e to power pi minus x times derivative of exponent, so it's negative 1, plus, and now because we have here multiplication, it means to find the derivative we have to use product rule. Let me remind you, when we have u times v prime, this is equal u prime times v plus u times v prime. In this case, u is equal e to power sine of x, and let me write this, u is equal e to power sine of x, and v is equal cosine of x. Derivative of e to power sine of x is e to power sine of x times derivative of sine is cosine of x, and derivative of v, derivative of cosine is negative sine of x. So we will have to now substitute to this formula. We have plus, and first we need derivative of u is e to power sine of x times cosine of x times v. V is cosine of x. Let's one more time. So next we have plus, and we have u. U is equal e to power sine of x times derivative of v is negative sine of x, over, and derivative of denominator, derivative of 1 is 0, derivative of cosine is negative sine of x. So this is equal, have to copy limit as x approaches pi, and we have now in numerator e times negative 1, it will be negative e to power pi minus x, plus we have e to power sine of x, cosine times cosine will be cosine square of x, positive and negative give us negative, e to power sine of x times sine of x over negative sine of x. Let's check what will be now when we replace x's by pi. So this is equal, I will put this in brackets. We have negative sine first, and we have again pi minus pi is 0, e to power where 0 is 1, and now we have sine of pi is 0, e to power 0 is 1, so we have plus 1 times cosine of pi is negative 1 square, it will be 1, so 1 times 1 is, I can write this, times 1, minus, and we have e to power sine of pi is 0, e to power 0 is 1, sine of pi is 0, over sine of pi is 0. So we have 0 in denominator. Negative 1 plus 1 is 0. Minus 0 is still 0. So we have 0 over 0. Again, we got indeterminate form. So we can use again L'Hopital's rule. So this is equal. We have to copy limit as x approaches pi. And we have to find the derivative of function which is in numerator first. We have negative sign, we have to copy. Derivative of e to power pi minus x is e to power pi minus x times derivative of pi minus x is negative 1 plus, and here we have multiplication, so we have used this formula. We have u equals e to power sine of x, and v is equal cosine square of x. So first we have derivative of e to power sine of x. Derivative of e to power sine of x is e to power sine of x times cosine of x times cosine square of x, we have to just copy, plus, now we have to copy first part, this is e to power sine of x, and derivative of cosine square of x, 2 times cosine of x, times derivative of cosine is negative sine of x, minus, and again we have to use product rule. So we have e to power sine of x times derivative of sine is cosine of x, and now we have to copy times sine of x, and we have negative sign because before this whole expression we have negative sign, so we have minus, and now we have to copy first expression. We have e to power sine of x, and derivative of sine is cosine of x, over derivative of negative sine of x is negative cosine of x. So this is equal. We have to copy limit as x approaches pi, and numerator we have negative times negative is positive, so we have e to power pi minus x. Next we have plus e to power sine of x, cosine times cosine square is cosine cube of x, and next we have positive times negative is negative. We have e to power sine of x, 2 we can put first, and we have cosine of x times sine of x, and now we have negative e to power sine of x times cosine of x times sine of x, minus e to power sine of x times cosine of x over negative cosine of x. This is equal. Now we can combine like terms. So we have 2 times e to power sine of x cosine x sine of x, and we have negative 1 e to power sine of x cosine of x sine of x. So we have to copy first limit, and the numerator we can copy. We have negative cosine of x, and we have first e to power pi minus x. We have one formula of cosine cube, so will be plus e to power sine of x times cosine cube of x. Now we have negative 3 e to power sine of x cosine of x times sine of x minus e to power sine of x times cosine of x. Let's check what will be now when we replace x's by pi. So we will have in numerator will be e to power pi minus pi is 0 plus e to power sine of pi is 0 times cosine cube of x. Cosine of pi is equal -1. -1 to third power is -1 minus 3 times e to power sine of x is sine of pi is 0. Now we have cosine of pi is -1, sine of pi is 0. So because we have here times 0, so this whole expression we can reduce. Minus we have e to power sine of pi is 0 times cosine of pi is -1 over, we have negative, cosine of pi is -1. So this is equal, e to power 0 is 1, e to power 0 is 1 times -1 is -1, and we have negative times negative is positive, e to 0 is 1 times 1 is 1 over negative and negative give us positive 1. So this is equal 1 and -1 we can reduce. So we have 1 over 1 is 1. So this is my solution.